we're kind of off to a decent start this year, though, with a few movies already that we've seen.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, we do
the two best movies of the year so far.
Movies to talk about. Yeah, the best movie of the year so far is the only movie I've seen, which we'll talk about in a second. But I haven't seen Bad Boys for Life, but a couple of you have. So let's talk about it. What did you guys think?
It's fun. It's definitely fun. It's been 17 years?
17 years.
Who directed it again?
They have some hard pronunciation.
They usually go by their first names though, right? Like that's what they prefer, at least.
Let me look it up right now.
Talking public.
And did they use, because it was supposed to be Joe Carnahan.
So
Joe Carnahan's
that's right.
story.
They use his script?
Yeah.
Or his story?
Part of his story.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So actually on the credits in the movie, they just go by Falah and Arby.
Yep.
But their real names are Bilal Falal and Adil El Arbi.
Oh.
Yeah, and they're attached to direct something else at the moment too, and I've seen their names pop up somewhere.
Yeah, when they signed on, they were unknown by pretty much everybody, right? Like they had a one-hit movie that was critically acclaimed, but what won them over for Will Smith and especially Will Smith and also Martin Lawrence was how much of a fan they were of these characters and how much they understood these characters and their importance to the blockbuster genre, the buddy cop films. And for this movie, it's not just throwaway popcorn fun. There's actually some real emotion in this movie particularly. Because you care about these characters and they put them in like real stakes. Like this movie is definitely R-rated, not just for the cursing and violence, but there's some really like strong graphic stuff in here. 2-3 moments that you definitely come to mind that I won't spoil, but these characters are put in real danger. But other than that, it's fun. Martin Lawrence and Will Smith are as good as they've ever been.
They are better than they've ever been, in my opinion.
I think so. I don't know. That first movie is.
I wake up sometimes since I've seen it, and I wonder, is this my favorite of the three?
Really?
That's what Jake wakes up thinking about.
This is what I wake up thinking about for the past week. There's a part of me that believes that this is the best one of the three of them, and I don't know if I told this, but I said that the reason why is because it's such a personal driven story.
Yes.
It's not drug cartels or, kidnappings or stuff like that. It's very personal driven between Mike and Marcus. Like it's about them, about their history, about things that have happened in their lives that come back to haunt them. Like it's not some outlandish story that you're like, okay, well, they went to Cuba last movie. Like, what are they going to do this? But like, kind of like Fast and Furious does.
Right.
I don't mean to bash on the franchise, but that's what that franchise does.
No, sure. Yeah,
this took it, like, they could have easily gone like over and above, but they took a step back
from this movie.
They took a step back, and it was so driven by it was driven by the characters. It really was, and the action is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it is ridiculously good in this movie. Will Smith is like classic action star Will Smith in the movie. He's great. Martin Lawrence, obviously he's put on some weight since then, but his comedic timing is unlike so many people on this planet. It's incredible. And then them together obviously work well. So the directors, they're attached to Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Nice.
But they're also apparently Marvel is very interested in getting them to do something as well.
Really?
So that they're kind of like the hot commodity right now. But yeah, And the one thing that I mentioned, I put a review tweet out there, is that when you bring in like a younger generation to an older franchise, or like a new team or something, like most of the time you don't like that team. Like aren't going to make a good backstory. You're not interested in these characters. I really like Team Ammo.
Yeah.
Like Team Ammo's, they're a sweet team, dude. And the leader, she's a badass as well. But it's a really good group of people that I could see like a spin-off franchise on, because they kind of fit in the franchise very well. Which
Isn't it
Vanessa
High School
Hudgens?
Musical? Yeah,
Vanessa Hudgens, and they make a High School Musical joke in there.
Yeah.
And then Alexander Ludwig, who was in Hunger Games, he's in Vikings right now, and then Charles Menton, who is on Riverdale. And so there are three young actors, but they all held their own very well. They were included a lot more than I thought they'd be too.
And did they not take away too much?
No, not at all.
Perfect.
Every time that they were in the room with Mike and Marcus, it was Mike and Marcus's show. But they were there.
Yeah.
I keep waiting for you every single time.
Mike Lowry.
Lowry. I was about to say. Jake, did you see it? Did you see it?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Okay.
I want to though. I've heard nothing but good things.
Me too.
And it's
everyone.
And it's
believe
only
I
2
haven't seen it
hours.
yet.
And it's
I was
only
about to
2
ask,
hours.
2 hours and 45
it's
minutes.
only
like the
2
last
hours. And there's some really good cameos in the movie.
one? Okay.
Some really good, really good cameos. And Chief is so good in the movie, just like he was in the first two.
You mean Joe
Yes.
Pants? Oh, okay.
Yeah. The whole movie is it's great.
Cool.
It's really good. So,
Yeah, he is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I am starting to really appreciate shorter run times, to be
Yes,
honest. And
absolutely.
It depends on the movie, right? Like some movies can be 2 hours and 45 minutes. It depends on the film.
Right.
But 1917, amazing runtime.
Isn't it? I think just
Amazing
not to veer
runtime.
off into that, but I think Brian, you were like, it doesn't even seem like it's as long as however long it
literally
is.
just felt like it was.
And
just,
it didn't need to be 1 minute longer. Like
Yeah.
it was
Agreed.
perfect.
Yeah,
It
totally.
literally just felt like the middle of a movie.
Yeah.
Well, and
That's it.
the cool
right.
thing about the reason why I think that's the case is because it being one giant tracking shot, they don't have time to linger.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like there's no lingering on scenes or like I was thinking about while watching it. Typically, when you transition a new scene, like they go to like the water and they transfer into the character. You're literally just following these characters the entire time.
Or like they show a shot of the city.
Exactly. So there's
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
There's no extras in the scene, and it just flowed
It's like
really
how
nice.
it would be without extra nonsense.
That's it.
But
If it was just you,
that's the
it
opposite of
just-
Bad Boys for Life. Man, there's some city shots in this
Oh,
movie with
Miami?
montages
Yeah,
and,
you guys
and
said, I mean,
bikinis and boats.
It's under
and,
2 hours.
Oh, Miami's always.
Yes.
Fine. And
Yes,
plus, Bad Boys is an action comedy, which doesn't
Exactly.
need to
Right.
be 2.5 hours, which a lot of people have a problem with Bad Boys.
I will
too.
say this.
Totally.
I will say
Yeah.
this. There were two moments where I was like smiling like a little kid again, but there was also a moment where I legitimately started tearing up
Yeah.
in the movie.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what we're
Legitimately
talking.
started
my
tearing up
God.
in the movie.
Yeah.
Can't believe I haven't. Bad
I need to go
Boys.
watch it. I need to
yes.
go watch it.
Yeah, same
Check
here,
it
man.
out,
It's
yeah.
it's one of my.
I'm excited.
Those
for
two
it.
people and being a '90s kid, or I mean a teenager in the '90s, but Martin and Will Smith are, especially Martin Lawrence, one of my biggest like influences in entertainment. All of his stand up, he used to host Def Comedy Jam. Back in the day, his show. Well, two of my favorite TV sitcoms of all time, The Fresh Prince and Martin.
Yeah.
There was a debate on a radio show I was listening to with which one that people think was better, and it was on the Breakfast Club. But a lot of people veered a little more towards Martin.
I was more.
I could not decide.
Fresh Prince, yeah.
So I've watched Martin, but I'm not as much as I've watched Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
it's
I've
Fresh
seen
Prince for
some,
me. It's
but
Fresh
the
Prince.
thing is, like,
Carlton.
it's not a fair argument because I haven't seen as
Right.
much Martin. Like I watched
Yeah.
Fresh Prince so much.
Oh, I'm well versed in both, and I couldn't decide. Honestly, I couldn't.
So before we move on to the next one, cool thing with this movie is that it made a buttload of money over the weekend.
Yes, it did.
And there's already a sequel that's apparently in the works.
They wasted.
So-
They wasted the
They
title.
wasted the title. They 100% wasted
They
the
wasted
title.
the
Yeah.
four.
And
What's
that's
the next one going to be called?
Bad Boys Forever.
And that's my.
Four.
Yeah.
That's
Bad
my.
Boys Forever.
Just like Fast and Furious wasted they didn't put Fate of the Furious in the like. Why would you not put F?
With